Hello YouTube, hello everyone, and welcome to this London After Midnight special. And joining me tonight, we have a new guest, Jasmine. Please introduce yourself.
Hi everyone, I used to be on YouTube once as Eopic, and I'm no longer an active YouTuber. I'm a trans woman and a friend, or an internet friend you could say, of James, and I've been introduced to Alex. I'm happy to be part of this, and I'm happy to bring the trans perspective. I'm also bisexual, so I also have a perspective on that. Thank you.
And is your profile, is that Gaia?
No, my profile, it's Inanna, the goddess of war in Mesopotamia.
Oh, okay.
It could also be Lilith.
Oh, okay.
Which in Mesopotamia was the goddess. She gave the spirit of lust. She gave lust to people. Her characteristic changed in the Bible. It could also be the gods of the underworld, but I think there's some debate, but I'll just say Inanna. Inanna is one of my favorite goddesses, so I identify a lot with her, so that's why I use her as an avatar.
Aha, interesting. And I think our listeners are more than familiar with... Well, just say it, James.
Hello there, this is James Duscroft, Ujames 1978.
Aha, and this special, which I think will be the first in a couple of shows about, and let me get this right, the term now is gender, sexuality, diversity, because I've been saying GSM, but it's GSD.
Yes.
And yeah, okay. And basically there's an article with a video that basically puts together, and I'm always fascinated by going back and looking at these shows, because quite often I find that things are problematic, whether it's the rampant sexism in Blake 7, everything wrong with Only Fools and Horses, that you find these shocking things, and I think the danger is that you just accept them, which I think is one of those things. I'm 33, so I was a teenager, actually not even a teenager, I think I was 12 when Friends started, so from the ages of 12 to 22 I watched Friends. It was the big thing. I think everybody, it was just the talk of school, and it's still a big show now, even though it finished 10 years ago, and I had the whole VHS collection, and in many ways it looked progressive. Of course, if you're under attack, that creates a kind of binary. It's like with Doctor Who now, they look better for the fact that bigots are complaining about the fact they have a same-sex couple. You know, so you get this good versus evil thing, but really examining the writing. Of course, with this video, you get 10 years worth of a show from, I think it was 94 to 2004, something like that. It's actually, this video, I would say, I might bring up specific omissions later. Some of the omissions are in the article that comes with the video. Thoughts on the homophobia? I'd say if you were a bisexual teenager of my generation, you get the whole no homo thing, which is what's going on with Joey and Chandler. You just accept that. You know, and actually I remember two celebrities who were big in the UK, Jason Donovan and Philip Schofield, did the whole there's nothing wrong with being gay, but if you say I'm gay, I'll sue the fuck out of you thing. Nothing wrong with it, but if you claim that I'm gay, then I'll turn on you. And when it comes to the Chandler thing, which obviously when it comes to Chandler's dad, there is a serious mishandling of they just don't know what they're talking about. I do want to say one interesting thing about sorry, did you want to leap in, James?
No, go ahead.
One thing about the UK, actually, sorry, Jasmine, can I ask what country you're in?
I'm from Sweden.
Oh, okay. Basically, I'd imagine it's similar in Scandinavia to how it is here. We actually start sex education at 5. Parents can opt out, but it's very rare. They know the lesson plan.
Well,
And
there's debate about adding some basic sex education to such young people. But
okay.
yeah, it's not implemented. But yeah.
It's very basic, like the technical words for the parts of the body, like penis and vagina. They're like basic anatomy. But they don't just have mummies and daddies anymore. Some people have two daddies. Some people have two mummies. My mother, who's been a teacher in Northeast London for several decades, says there's a minority among the Muslim community who will view the lesson plan and withdraw their children. So there's in Northeast London at least, there's a demographic, and only a fraction of that. I'm not hating on Muslims, a tiny percentage of Muslims. So even like the Christians and what have you, they don't pull out. So some people have two mummies, some people have two daddies. There are people, of course, who want to push for some people have a mummy who becomes a daddy, some people have a daddy who becomes a mummy, where actually Chandler's experience as a well-written drama could be a really good thing, if we're looking at it from his perspective. If we're looking at it from Ross's perspective, well, his dad is the man who said on thinking he was meeting either a drag queen or a trans woman, but he doesn't know the difference, and neither do the writers, said, "What? I've never seen one before." And then I didn't even have a chance to act like I was okay with it. So, yes,
but
I suppose...
There is a very great, big problem. You know, it's a very transphobic and sexist undertone in the entire series.
Yeah.
They don't treat Chandler's, I would say, second mom as a woman. She acts like they misgender her. She is only she's an entertainer. Acts like a transvestite or drag queen entertainer.
Yeah.
It's a whole bunch of negative stereotypes. Another thing to keep on noticing was also when they talked about women with noticeable Adam's apple. There are cis women who have some notable Adam's apple, but it's quite clear that they were referring trans women and joke at them.
Yeah. Oh yes.
Yeah. But even if we assume, it's also even there you have that transphobic undertone, but also it's wrong. You know, there are cis women who you can see their thyroid fat cartilage to an extent.
Yeah.
You can't see mine as much anymore because I had a tracheal shave that is toning down Adam's apple surgery.
Okay.
But
yes.
The entire show has that undertone. I mean, you also see. Sometimes the show does, joke with gender stereotypes, with the underwear. There was another episode I didn't have when I know there was somebody making a girl who was joked, I think, in school into wearing male underwear, and then she goes and makes revenge on Chandler, putting him in a situation where he's stuck in a female underwear.
I remember the one.
Yeah, But yeah, I think if I'm gonna be the biggest blow to this entire show is how they portray trans people and how they portray gender variant people and make jokes at their expense. Except when they make jokes where they joke about the gender stereotypes.
So it's a mixed bag.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing, obviously, yes. Like when I was watching it just now, I thought, actually, women do have Adam's apples. And B, what they are getting at, yes, it's what people call the trap, isn't it? That Joey has, unwittingly kissed, and I suppose we're not being invited to. Well, I would imagine we're being invited to think of a stereotypical. I think a lot of the audience would think of the term ladyboy, which is I think there's a sort of suggestion of that. I mean, lots of trouble. Well, the gender stuff in this show is, when you put it together, it's quite something. James, but actually, can I throw out there, speaking as a bisexual cisgendered male, I will check my privilege a bit at this point, because I don't think we were quite as badly handled as, and also, of course, the reality that, as I pointed out, we live in a society when you can teach children about same-sex couples, or same-sex parents, but there's nothing about trans people at all. And the writers of this show didn't know the difference between a drag queen and a trans woman, which is very, very clear. That's why I called it the Dallas Buyers Club effect. If you've never seen Dallas Buyers Club, please never do.
I already read news about it.
Yeah, if you haven't seen it, good for you. But I'll move on to James. How many times did you punch your desk during this?
Several times, mostly, as you say, during the the transphobia. I don't even know the names of the characters. When they were getting married, and it was mother and other mother, and introducing him as Mr. Bing, Charles, and aren't you a bit old to be wearing a dress like that? Don't you have too much penis to be wearing a dress like that? We get it. Come on, how grotesque can you be? While I imagined that the homophobia, especially from the stupid male one, would be grotesque, I think in the end, this whole video, not just of this series, but in media as a whole, is an example of how progress only... progress follows kind of a modular path. It's one group at a time. So even though a lot of the homosexual jokes and references in this series, in this video at least, were quite problematic, though there was just some. There were problems with it. The trans issues were so ignorant, so bigoted. As Jasmine pointed out, he is a trans woman. He is a tranny, so he can only be the star of a drag show in Vegas, and of course he is going to sing "It's Raining Men." Could that have been any more stereotypical? So, first it was race, and now being black is okay, and then it was homosexuality, being gay or even bisexual is okay, but then in the 1990s, being transgender or not fitting the gender binary, it was just completely alien. You could make the most bigoted, horrendous jokes, and progressive people who thought that they were progressive and liberal at the time would laugh at it.
Well, I was thinking about, speaking of what you were talking about, James, you see very clearly that bisexuals, they talk a lot about gays and homosexuals, a lot of jokes at homosexuals, but they never mention bisexuals. Bisexuals are never mentioned, and they're very invisible, except for, I know, in a song which Phoebe once sings, which sort of make a joke at sexual males' expense, but also that there's some indication that Phoebe may be bisexual. There's a lot of sexual erasure. And I would even argue that some characters like Ross' ex-wife, which could very well, I think, also be a bi woman, is only described as a lesbian woman. Well, she could have been a lesbian woman that pretended to be straight, but it doesn't rule out the possibility that she has attractions all addressed. Yeah. The bisexual erasure is very, very clear, and it's the clearest indicators of biphobia. So I think by the very, very invisibility of bisexuals in the show could be argued to be biphobic.
Indeed, the fact that the article as well doesn't even mention bisexuality aside from Phoebe's song, and even then it's a reference to the show, not even mentioning the bio-erasure, suggesting that the author of the article was himself or herself just ignoring the bisexual community, bisexual individuals entirely. Is part of the problem, because yes, at the end of the day, I think it comes down to the fundamental problem that sexuality isn't what you feel. It's not in people's minds. It's still not what you feel or who you're attracted to. It's who you are with in a relationship and what you do. Constantly. The male nanny, Ross's male nanny, oh so effeminate and sensitive. You must be gay, and therefore you will bring up my son to be gay. His lesbian ex-wife and partner, giving his son a Barbie. You will raise my son to be gay. The jokes about men wearing women's underwear. You will be. People assuming that Chandler is gay because of some quality. It's his hair, something. Yeah. Does the word bisexual not exist? No, because if you're with a woman, you're straight. If you're with a man, you're gay. If you do manly things, you're straight, or a lesbian. If you're that was the other joke. Oh, she used to drink beer straight from the can.
Oh, yes.
Because, of course, that means she's a lesbian. And yes, the idea that she could be bisexual. Oh, but that would open up the possibility that maybe she and Ross could get back together.
And also don't forget what a show like this would have done, because bisexuals, like lesbians, are so over-sexualized in TV shows, exotified. You would double up.
That is the other point. Bisexuals are always amoral, if not outright evil, in American television.
And they are often portrayed as sexual, crazy people who just want to fuck everyone, and you can never trust them to be trustworthy in a relationship.
Exactly. Yeah. So again, if they were, it's almost a good thing. It's the same thing when we're talking about other TV programs, films like Dallas Buyers Club. It's a good thing that they didn't tackle other issues, that they just completely ignored them, because if they had, it would, just as this program in the 90s tried to be progressive with homosexuality, because, as I say, it seems that we can only be progressive and learn, and as a society, we can only be progressive and learn and accept one group at a time. So in the 90s, it was homosexuals, and 90s right through to today, it's homosexuality. But bisexuality, transsexuality, was still only starting to really accept those. So, as you say, Alex, if Ross's ex-wife was bisexual, then she no, it's too scary to think about.
And I would say, as I say, as a bisexual teenager in the 90s, where, as you know, there was one show, This Life, that actually had a bisexual character, where, as you know, looking back on the show, it wasn't that. In fact, I feel quite betrayed by This Life. But at the time, it was a big thing. And that fact sort of tells you, just as, in fact, I watched Friends with, I can't remember the term, sorry, GSD. With GSD friends of mine, at the time, and no one commented at all. It was a fun thing. Friendsing, to have a marathon even on VHS. Friendsing was a thing. It was just kind of accepted. And similarly, You Expect to Be Invisible. This Life breakthrough was like, oh, okay. In fact, actually, now I think about it, from that perspective, the original Queer as Folk, which came after This Life, was actually backward, because I don't know about the American Queer as Folk, because I only ever saw the first season. But the original Russell T Davies Queer as Folk, I don't think did feature any bisexual characters. So yes, Ferdy in This Life would be the trailblazing bisexual character of British television. I don't know about television across the world, but yeah, I think you just expect it. And as we've discussed before, of course, when you do get visibility, even if it's bad visibility, and as I say, This Life was doing well, but stabbed me in the back. Yeah, sometimes even bad visibility is good visibility. I suppose that's its own kind of debate. James, you touched upon the race thing. Remember, Joey isn't just a stupid character. He's the Italian-American character, which has its own stigma. So they've got an Italian-American. That's where they're covered in terms of ethnic diversity by the standards.
Come on!
That's why you see him wear, leather jackets.
Oh,
he's
yes,
the wannabe actor. He's the actor that doesn't succeed well, basically.
That's racial diversity.
Well, if you actually do view it in the context of New York, Italian Americans are associated with the mafia, things like that. So there is actually an element of stigma to that ethnic group.
Oh yeah, so we'll just make him a womanizing idiot.
Well, yes, that's the flip side. He has to be a stereotype.
Instead of the Homo sapiens are people. Hey, I don't judge.
I can remember finding that very funny at the time, actually. But it's especially funny because, of course, Ross is a paleontologist. Although, why does a paleontologist know this? Although, of course, Phoebe's a creationist, which is even stranger, but there you go.
Is she a creationist?
No, she's not. Oh, God, I think someone inflicted this upon me. This one scene. I think I was walking through this room at some point when that was on, probably a repeat or something. But I think it's not. She confuses evolution with creationism. I remember she was saying evolution. It's too easy. So it's not that she's a creationist. It's just, again, the joke is she just doesn't have the first clue what evolution actually is.
Yeah.
There is actually an episode where Phoebe states that she doesn't believe in evolution, and that the whole episode is an argument between her and Ross. And she even does end up saying that she doesn't believe in gravity. That actually.
I think the joke being that she is just too stupid to understand anything.
But yeah, I'm sure there was something else that one of you said that I wanted to roll with, and my mind's gone a bit blank. So yeah, we need someone to get the ball rolling. Any other thoughts?
I'm eating candy right now. No, I will just took a bit of chocolate.
I'll just ask James. Now that you've seen that compilation, was it worse than you thought, better than you thought, or about what you were expecting?
Better marginally. As I say, the transphobia brought it down horrendously.
Yeah.
I was expecting the stupid male character, Joey. Yeah, just remember, just think of him as a baby kangaroo.
Yes.
But I was expecting him to be far more homophobic. But again, It's just as I say, as society, the night. The 90s was the time when no, we have to be liberal and progressive towards homosexuality, but we can be as bigoted as we like towards trannies, in inverted commas, and bisexuals don't exist.
I think also, however, you do see the zeitgeist and how people react when they're suspected to be gay. So one of the worst things you could possibly suspect of being is being gay. The characters get very defensive and feel they have to change their actions and their acts when they're suspected of being gay. So it still has the zeitgeist of the age in it by insinuating that this could be also seen as satire to some degree, but it has that jokes on the fact that the worst thing you could possibly be and the most scary thing you could possibly be is gay, and if someone suspects you being gay, you must show them clear that you're not gay. That type of thing.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Again, you're smart and you're funny, therefore you're gay.
Yeah. And actually, what I've remembered now, the thing about Chandler's other mother, who of course is always referred to as Chandler's dad, is that it was obvious they had no plan, because in early episodes you get references to the reason his parents divorced, which was clearly a traumatic thing for him. One of the things is it's blaming so much of Chandler on this trauma, which is in itself something that needs to be better handled, and you get sort of his father, drinking shots off the pool boy, things like that, which I think was one of the things that they cut from that video, but or that wasn't included. If you're watching the whole 10 years, as I've done several times, because you only actually meet the character at the end, in the last season or penultimate season, when Chandler gets married, the character transforms in the way that they are alluded to. So they've gone from gay through, I suppose, flamboyant clothing, through drag queen, mutated into a trans woman, although the term is never used, by the end. So there's actually a very careless kind of... I've used the term mutation.
Yeah, comedy slippery slope. Making Chandler's dad gay, that's not funny enough. Making him a transvestite, no, that's not funny enough either. A drag queen, that's funnier. But, no, if we cast a woman as Chandler's dad, that'll have them rolling in the aisles.
But also that they really make it seem like, what a horrible parent she is, basically, because of this.
Meaning that, yes, no trans person can ever be allowed to raise a child, because even if they don't corrupt the child and turn them gay as well, they'll psychologically traumatize the child for life with their flamboyant perversions, forcing them to pluck their eyebrows and wax their bikini areas, and to be the backup dancer whilst they perform It's Raining Men.
Yeah, this is a show that has us and the other are lumped in, and nowadays, and this is sophisticated New York, of course, nowadays we have to tolerate this. Nowadays we have to tolerate the other, even though they do excellent. They're not Texans who want to shoot everyone, but and to be honest, I mean, with something like that, anything. I mean, as I say, if you take the Chandler is perhaps one of the more three-dimensional characters of Friends. But if you take it, I mean, a divorce. I mean, my parents divorced when I was a kid. Any divorce could be hard for a kid. There were right ways of doing it, but if it is a sort of thing of someone discovering, just as actually I would describe Carol, that's Ross's ex-wife, I would say that she never pretended to be straight. My interpretation is she thought she was straight. With Chandler's other mother, I think it would have been a similar thing of realization. Could that be... with a child, that should be delicately handled. Although, as I said earlier, of course, there are right ways of doing it and wrong ways of doing it. But as I said earlier, we are now teaching kids, we are teaching children things like some people have two mummies, some people have two daddies. We don't teach children about trans people. So the real sin that's been committed against Chandler is that he wasn't psychologically prepared for it. The show has an implication that Chandler was somehow horribly abused by virtue of who one of his parents is.
But they also make a high level of sensationalism about it, in that, Chandler's second mom she doesn't act like most trans women do. She acts like a stereotype of a drag queen, extremely vain, has her son helping to wax eyebrows. But they also seem to assume something with the jokes, in a later joke there with the penis, it's that a lot of trans women have SRS, so they have neo-vaginas.
Right.
But apparently, almost had this big penis. And also I can say most trans women, regardless if they've had SRS or not, would find such a joke extremely offensive. And even such a claim extremely offensive. So, I'll have to say that those type of jokes bite me very, very hard.
Right.
Yeah, that don't you have enough... They could have just as easily said, don't you have too many Y chromosomes?
Yeah.
I suppose you're supposed to see it from the point of view of the poor, innocent, cisgendered woman who thought she married a man, and she's still embittered by the divorce 20 years later.
So on the flip side of that coin, a woman a married woman realizes that she's a lesbian when she's pregnant, and no, we're all supposed to laugh at the stupid man who didn't realize that.
Although I want to point out, one of the things that they didn't include was there's a Father's Day, there's no Lesbian Lovers' Day, where Ross responds, every day is Lesbian Lovers' Day, and the audience give huge laughter and actual applause, because these days gays have everything, and lesbians in America don't have to put up with any shit at all.
Oh yes, they get their own parade, yes, because we don't need one. But that one scene, though, going back to Ross's dad before he transitioned.
The Chandler's dad.
Chandler's dad before he transitioned. The scene from the build-up of the joke, I assume that he was about to have an affair with a married woman who had children, and he was saying, "I don't want to be that guy who breaks up a family. I don't want to be a cause of a divorce that's going to harm a child. When I was a kid, I saw that guy, and I hated him. It didn't matter how nice of a guy he was. It didn't matter how happy he made my dad. And the audience laughed. But I saw that as a very powerful and emotional scene. I just wanted to point out, no, it's not funny. The joke is supposed to be our expectations were founded, and from then the humour arose. Oh, you think it's a man with it, or you still automatically think man, woman. So it doesn't matter how happy he made my dad.
As if this show is really gender normative.
And the The worst thing that could happen to a character is that they break the normativity.
Yeah. A few other things that were cut actually are to do with the trans thing, because, okay, there was a bit, this is in the article, it's not in the video. Rachel is at the wedding, or at the casino, or I can't remember exactly which episode, but she's looking for Chandler's dad, well, Chandler's other mother, but only ever referred to as Chandler's dad, which I suppose, actually, that in a sense is legitimate because Chandler has his issues. I mean, in Chandler's mind, it's not. I mean, this is the thing. If we were taking this as a serious real-life drama that could happen, Chandler doesn't understand. He's traumatized. But anyway, Rachel's looking, and she speaks to a complete random woman that, is mistaken for... I can't name the character, but is mistaken for Chandler's other mother. They introduce themselves as Amanda, and Rachel says, "Oh, I get it. Man. Duh." And it gets a huge laugh. I don't know which is worse, that bit or the too much penis bit, or Jack, who is Monica and Chandler's dad, saying, "I've never seen one before." I think that in itself, though, Jack, who actually, now you think about it, Ross's description of being raised by Jack's behaviour when thinking he's talking to a trans woman, he always came across as a lovable clown in a slightly laugh at your parents' generation kind of way. So it's one of those things where when you examine Jack, he's actually an asshole.
Yes, I can completely see that. For me, though, the worst things were, Chandler's dad, in inverted commas, would go to his swim meets, his swimming competitions, dressed as a... what was the name of the Hollywood actress with the fruit hat? But go dressed like that.
Oh, Carmen Miranda.
Go dressed as Carmen Miranda, and make him be a teenage boy, be the backup dancer whilst she was rehearsing singing "It's Raining Men." And
yeah,
again, just going back to what I was saying before, that this is, be warned, this is what trans parents do to their children.
Yeah.
No, what? Of course she would go dressed as a woman, but why can't... I do remember one trans joke from a completely different sitcom. I'm just wondering if it is problematic. The whole basis of this subplot in the episode was that one of the main characters worked at a primary school, an elementary school, and all of the children were encouraged on one particular day to dress up as their heroes, and one of the boys wanted to dress up as a girl. So that's the whole premise of it. That yes, the teacher of the class, although the principal of the school, the headmaster, is against it, the school council is against it, the teacher is fighting for this boy's right to come to school dressed as his female hero, and for girls to come dressed as male heroes if that's what they want. To which later her boyfriend says, yes, it can be tough for a boy who dresses up as a girl. I remember when I was 5, I dressed up as Diana Ross for Halloween got beaten up by a kid who was dressed as Tonto. I still have a little scar here from his plastic tomahawk. But what, he beat you up just because you were dressed like a woman? No, he beat me up for breaking up the Supremes.
Oh, classic.
Yeah, but again, I think that was from around the same time as Friends.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so
Okay.
so it just goes to show that even then there were trans progressive, if that's the correct term, series on American television. I'm not sure if actual trans women would have to ask you, Jasmine, for your opinion on that, but I don't know if there is really a problem. But there were real portrayals.
Well, I mean, the character talked about a childhood experience, but was the character trans?
Oh,
Yeah,
no.
No. So then you could say
Oh, no, it's not.
it was progressive. It was progressive in gender non-conforming behavior, at least.
That's correct. Excuse me, I was using
yes,
the wrong term.
Of course, when I was a child, I used to cross-dress a whole lot. It was something I did when no one was around. It was a way for me to express myself. So. And I felt good just doing it. So, but I was very afraid for people knowing, and of course some did find out about it in school. They were negative, but well, it's progressive, I think, in the sense, that you have a character that talks about it openly and gets accepted, or and not looked down upon. I mean, I know in Friends, in Ross's case, Ross was apparently he's not a trans woman, but apparently he did spend some time of his childhood cross-dressing.
Yeah.
But feels extreme amount of shame because of it. And this comes up with I think that scene is not too bad, but it comes on with the hypocrisy, with the fact that he has a hard time with his son playing with a doll.
Yeah.
And then he bring up, he used to cross-dress.
Yes, what I gained from that video, which of course was just a very time-compressed glimpse into the series, was that Ross's father bullied him so much for being gender non-conformist that he grew up to be ashamed of that behaviour, afraid of such bullying and abuse. So I felt that rather than being bullying or abusive towards his son or to other gender non-conforming behaviour, it was more that he was afraid that his son would be bullied in the same way. Oh no, what if Grandad comes in and sees him playing with a girl, with a girl's toy? Quick, get it away from him before something bad happens. So again, not defending his behaviour at all. It was wrong. So, but rather than hypocrisy, Jasmine, I would say that it was, again, this childhood trauma. But
you could say hypocrisy caused by trauma.
Yeah, that's correct, yes. But
yeah.
An ironic hypocrisy, yes. All you wanted was to be accepted as a kid, and now because you weren't, you're denying your own child the same freedom.
Well, yeah, it is an abuse pattern, and it's what you expect with anything like this, whether it's sexuality, whether it's gender. It can be for the stupidest thing. My dad hit me once for how I held a spade or something.
Yeah.
Those kinds of gender things. As you say, they're not excusable, but they are understandable. I'm going to open up the floor if anyone has any closing thoughts.
Well, I think my closing thoughts is that despite the show's problem, we have to think about, the zeitgeist of the age when it was made. And also, I think if you look from the most broadest sense, I think there is a lot of shades of gray in the show. And also, I think a lot of its negatives reflect the negatives of society as a whole. So it still has a lot of value in that it speaks a lot about mainstream American, Eastern American culture of the 90s.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Just for my own final thoughts, we can see this as a part of the journey that the media, especially American media, are always taking. You mentioned before, Alex, programs like Queer as Folk and This Life, which in turn inspired others, etc. I've talked in this podcast about how in the 90s, the key was trying to be liberal towards homosexuality. Most people still not understanding it, still having really ignorant attitudes towards it, but doing their best and slowly trying to gain, with the lesbian couple, Ross's ex-wife and her girlfriend, trying to gain acceptance throughout the 10 years of the show. But of course, this problem that society as a whole, not just media, seems to have, with only being able to be progressive and liberal towards one group at a time. So, as we've also discussed in Friends, it was homosexuality. But again, this was the 90s, and in the last 20 years, just 15 or 20 years, the progression has continued to the point where, yes, I do believe we now have an American TV series, an American sitcom where the stars are two gay dads, a gay couple with an adopted son. Bi invisibility, bi erasure, and transphobia are still massive problems across the media and across the culture. So I did actually mention this in a video a couple of years ago now. Well-rounded or any kind of transsexual characters, genuinely transsexuals, not merely drag queens or transvestites who claim that they are women, in inverted commas. That is the one boundary that is the one thing that Hollywood has yet to even consider writing or portraying.
There was a film, but I think it was an independent American film. It's called Trans-America, which is an exception in American cinema.
Yes, again, I was talking. There are also films like The Crying Game, excellent film which Alex shared with me.
Boys Don't Cry is another one.
They're both excellent.
Yeah. But in terms of mainstream Hollywood entertainment,
and I will say, obviously, we think of, and I think that's a thing actually, that East Coast Friends is New York, it's East Coast. These are the sophisticated Americans who don't shoot you for not believing in Jesus. So these are the forefront. And because I live in London, which is sort of the Western European equivalent. London, we think of London as so progressive. But there's trans phobia and biphobia within the gay and lesbian communities in London.
Oh, yes.
And do we exist, we as in bisexuals, do we exist in the media? Of course we do. Of course we do.
As villains and
The
perverts.
worst part.
No,
Worst part.
I was actually gonna. Well, those are true, but the other word, of course, is no. I think it's a slight improvement.
But the worst part.
Sorry.
Continue.
Oh, the word I was gonna say is phase.
Oh.
Oh yeah.
You
Yeah,
raised the sign of the beast.
Yeah, that is horrible. But another thing is very terrible is that even if people say they're bi, the media will do very often, as James was saying, they will go after who the hell you're having a sexual relationship with. There was once, I don't remember the exact people involved, but it was a lesbian. It was a same-sex marriage between two women, and one of the women said very openly that I'm bisexual. But the media portrayed it as two lesbian women. The only reason there were two women having a romantic and sexual relationship together. And that it shows that the media only seems to think of it in terms of who you're fucking at the moment.
Oh,
yeah.
It's not just the media, though. It's, as I say, it's society as a whole. You're going... the number of parents who ask their bisexual children, or people in general, are you straight now, or are you gay now? Because of who they're going out with at the time.
Yeah, and I know a bi woman, and I read in a forum that as soon as she got a boyfriend, everyone was like, oh, look, she was straight after all. They just assumed that, okay, she had a little playing around, but look, she was straight and normal after all. Look at that.
I do actually remember a tabloid news headline, tabloid article. I can't remember the details about it, it was someone who was supposed to be famous, someone who had been on Big Brother or The X Factor or something like that. Oh, she claimed to be bisexual, but now she's marrying a man. Check the definition.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Which is fully something a bisexual woman can do.
Yeah, again, check the definition of bisexuality.
Yeah. But it seems like the media wants seems to think of bisexual as homosexual light, people that they're really gay, but they just don't want to admit to for themselves that they're gay. Or they are straight people that are just experimenting a bit,
Oh, yes. The weekend lesbians, half-closeted lesbians, those are the terms which are used against Teresa.
Is Teresa also bi?
Yeah. Excuse me. Oh, I have mentioned it in videos on my channel and so forth. So
I think I've forgotten it in that case.
No, I was just thinking, oh shit, should I have said that? But no, we've discussed it in the past, and she's okay with me talking about her sexuality.
So, yes. Well, it's been 10 years since Friends ended, 20 years since it began. It was a massive show. What have we seen since? And I would say it was an improvement on things that have gone before, certainly. Whether we've had better... actually, to be honest, the same people made How I Met Your Mother, and I don't think the makers of Friends actually did make any improvements. Neil Patrick Harris, being gay himself, to be honest, I think How I Met Your Mother, you could do the same compilation. It wouldn't really be an improvement. Which is a bit sad, but it doesn't mean, as James says, and I think I know, is it American Family, the show you're thinking of, James?
I don't know the title, I just know that one guy's taller, quite chubby, another guy has a very ginger beard.
I think it's called American Family.
Yeah.
I've not really watched it. One thing you can say, though, is if you're an aspiring writer or filmmaker, if you think somebody else isn't doing it well enough, I'll quote a film that I love. I'll say, if you think somebody else is doing it the wrong way, then you need to do it the right way.
That's what I do.
The problem with that, it's not the problem with that argument, but the dark side of that fact, Alex, is Dallas Buyers Club. Even by that standard, even Dallas Buyers Club has merit because it will inspire people.
Well, that's very true. Although I could say we've already mentioned the Crying Game, as you know, is in my top 10 love stories of all time.
Indeed.
Not because it's a trans film or a film with a trans character. It's just a breathtakingly good film made 20 years before Dallas Buyers Club, where, though actually, to be honest, I know it's Hollywood, but Dallas Buyers Club is so backwards compared with The Crying Game.
Mm.
Yeah,
just television series, The Orange is the New Black?
Oh.
I've heard of it. I've not actually seen it yet. I know it's got Catherine Janeway in it.
It has, now I'm stupid. I forgot her name. A trans actress who plays a trans woman.
Oh yes,
yeah.
Very famous.
Yeah, and she's done a lot. I mean, I know a lot of people who has cut their eyes open to trans issues because of that show, and so I mean, I think that there are some positive stuff coming up which depicts trans people better, at least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. But I'm just thinking. I'm currently writing a novel which touches on these issues, but only about 5 people will ever read it. So the question is, when is there going to be a multi-million-dollar Hollywood film with a transsexual love story or any kind of major trans character?
Hollywood is known just because the producers are so afraid of losing money. Hollywood is known to be quite cowardly. Especially in big production. Well, you have the film Breakfast at Tiffany's?
Uh-huh.
In the film, they have it's a typical, love story. You have this big, straight writer, and then you have this whimsical Holly Golightly, and eventually in the end with boom, bam, boom, boom, they fall in love, typical Hollywood stuff. The novel, on the other hand, is very controversial. The film said fuck you to every single message and theme Truman Capote did in the novel. In the novel, the main character is gay. The writer character is homosexual. There is another character that falls in love with Golightly, but Golightly has but they never really get each other in the end. Golightly has short hair, to protest against stereotypical gender roles. Golightly, in the end, basically travels the world. She goes to Brazil and then she starts traveling around. She sings a song in both the film and the movie, but they're very different. In the book, it's a song about how she doesn't want to die, she just want to fly over the grand sky. They really... Then when the Hollywood adaptation comes, speaking of how, Hollywood has no courage because of their producers, they want to gain money, so they must pander to a big audience. Basically, are too afraid, and this was done in the 60s, so having a homosexual main character, that was unheard of. Or having the female character, she is a call girl, which is sort of implied in the film, and she has short hair, and I know Capote did not like the casting at all. He did not like how they did it, and they basically said fuck you, because in a lot of ways the novel is completely counter to the typical Hollywood story. The novel states, there is no happy ending and so on. And then that's and that's also, why instead of nagging and bitching, I've studied creative writing in 2 years. I write everything from poetry, plays, novels, short stories, and now I study filmmaking. And I'm active in the theater. So, because I realize if you want change, if you want another perspective, you gotta do it yourself.
Indeed.
And one thing I'm known for, or hopefully will be known for, is having bisexual main characters.
Right. Yeah,
Right.
something which is sorely lacking. Oh, but going back to Hollywood producers, this was the subtext. This was the underlying point of my question. When will we see a well-rounded, three-dimensional trans character in Hollywood? The answer is when the mainstream culture is willing to accept it. This is why Hollywood's cowardice is such a great thermometer, a great way to measure cultural attitudes. When we have films like The Crying Game, which only gain money and a fan base over years after it's first been released, that just shows how small and niche trans films really are. And to this day, it sickens me that the only thing most people remember about that film is, oh, and then she got her lad out. So when we do see the female, not just GSD characters, but the female equivalent of James Bond.
James, you're making my point about Doctor Who.
Oh yes, and I was going to get there. And yes, I know I've complained about it, but Jenny and Vastra. But yeah, that's the thing. Even now, I'm explaining it because Jasmine, you seem to miss my point. My whole point about Jenny and Vastra is you don't have to keep telling me, Alex, level 4. Your point.
Okay.
That's just
okay. I'll explain this for Jasmine. I'm a huge fan of. I don't know if you get Doctor Who in Sweden.
Yes, we do.
Oh, okay. And you may know that they have a same-sex couple, and they're kind of like lesbian superheroes. And some people, well, obviously you get people who complain, but actually 8.2 million British people tuned in, and 6 British people complained to Ofcom, and Ofcom said, no, we're not going to investigate. Fuck that. But the point is, Deep Breath was the episode because Doctor Who is so big that it's sometimes in cinemas as well. So we're talking big screen, big screen. I just want to say queer characters. Sorry, big screen GSD characters, who are also a married couple. And also topped the US box office. In fact, did that in the same summer as the release of Guardians of the Galaxy. In other words, Marvel, whatever you think of Vastra and Jenny, because a lot of GSD people don't think that Vastra and Jenny are well written because they're well written by a straight cisgendered guy but what would I say? That it's well meant. The intent is there. And the point of the matter is, Marvel or DC, they can look at that and go, oh, hang on, you can have GSD superheroes, and we don't have that many. I mean, there are some in comic books and things, but GSD superheroes made the big screen. And I think Doctor Who has opened the door that we will have GSD superheroes in Hollywood.
And
absolutely.
My point with that is that Alex keeps bending my ear about it, and I'm saying yes. This is just the way that the world
have to remember. I also want to note though that Marvel today is owned by Disney, which is known for having LGBT days in Disney universe,
Yeah.
And so I mean it is a company that's been known for being more, if you should say, gay friendly than most mainstream American cinema.
Absolutely.
So I mean, I think because of that, if Disney could lead the way, but I think until Disney produces feature animated film where the main character is homosexual or bisexual and has a romantic, same-sex romantic relationship, I think it's not going to have that break. But who knows? I mean, even Frozen, which has, this big love between these two sisters, that was enough to
it does
scream
also
like the religious fight, getting their anger out in the world, so to speak.
Yeah, there is of course also a gay. Well, actually, there's not just a gay couple in Frozen, but they have a family. If you remember the shop, the guy who runs the shop has a husband with children.
Oh yeah, well, when you say it, yeah, I think of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now when you say it.
but
I will actually.
Yeah.
There is, when we talk about Friends in the 90s, at the end of the 90s came a Swedish film which the official English title is Show Me Love, which in the original title was Fucking Homo. And it's about same-sex love between teenage girls. I will actually link here in the chat with you guys. I will link the film for you both. It's known to be one of the best from Swedish cinema. When we had our screenwriting and analyzing scenes here, we had to look at a couple of scenes from it. So I'll link it to you guys there, and you can see it. To just show, if you just show more broad and global, some of these issues were becoming more cleared in the 90s and in the early millennium shift. But But I think if anything in American mainstream, I think Disney could lead the way. If they just have the full bravery, they will soon have an animated feature where you have a main character that has same-sex love. That's what I'm waiting for. That's what I'm waiting for.
Absolutely. Amen to that. And sorry, James, you want to speak?
No, sorry. There was a point I wanted to make, but we've moved so far beyond that now.
Perhaps we'll even do a podcast on this film. Hurrah! So, I think it's time to go around and have final thoughts and goodbyes. And so it's been
second time around.
The second time around, but it's been a great chat. And so, Jasmine, your final thought and goodbye.
Well, I just hope the world becomes more queer, more pink, more flashy, and may us all be happy.
Yes, your gay and trans agenda will destroy us all.
James, the term is cultural Marxism.
Oh, I know. I remember. I am the king of culture. No, I am the democratically represented president.
If you remember, I am the founder of the Cultural Marxism Party.
But I'm the figurehead.
Oh, okay.
But seriously though, my final thought, really final thought this time, just reading the comments on the article which featured the video we've been discussing tonight. One comment, "Oh geez, absurd. Tired of someone always looking for a reason to be victims. Take a chill pill already. It was a smart, humorous show, and it portrayed how many actually reacted to certain similar situations, while also introducing LGBT characters and topics to the mainstream media." Yes, but that doesn't mean that there weren't problems with the series. And just because we are criticising something doesn't mean that we are attacking it, doesn't mean that people are trying to be victims. Why can't people accept this? We've had a very good, very interesting discussion tonight about how Friends and other works of art and entertainment are stepping stones in cultural development. as we all hopefully become more accepting and more understanding of GSD individuals and of issues. So, no, please, certain people on Facebook, you know who you are if you're listening to this, and social criticism is a necessary part of that process. Demanding more from our entertainment, so that, yes, people such as myself and Jasmine and you, Alex, you're a writer as well, we and others can learn from the mistakes of the past and hopefully do better next time, unlike How I Met Your Mother.
Indeed. How I Met Your Mother, the server-LAN of the sitcom. James gets my yes, and James, thank you for being the token straight cisgendered privileged motherfucker.
Oh yes, it's all just to make it clear for everyone. It's all my fault. Blame me for everything.
Exactly. And check your privilege in shame. Yes, thank you so much to both of my guests, and I hope everybody enjoyed the show. And good night, YouTube. Good night, everyone.
Good night.